Once we have collected some data, we want to summarize it and display it in a way that people can easily read our results. If we're collecting data that is categorical, it falls into different categories, a frequency table provides a very nice summary of the data. The frequency table is just a count of how many people fell into each category, or how many data points fell into each category. The relative frequency is the percentage that fell into each category. Let's look at a simple example. Your initial discussion post in this course asked you to post an introduction. It also asked you to include a photo of yourself. Let's suppose that there are 25 people enrolled in this course, and that I went through and counted the number of people who posted with a photo, without a photo, and did not post at all. So some hypothetical results. This would be an example of a frequency table. I counted the number of students who posted with, without, and did not post at all. So I might label a title for this frequency table, something like results of STA 2023 initial posts. And then I might include something like the year in the title or something like that to really give information to my reader so that they can look just simply at the table and know exactly what it is I'm talking about. I have the categories listed on the left and the number of students on the right. Now, to make this a relative frequency table, I'm just going to extend this, but I might have the same thing, the title at the top, the left hand column, and then over under the relative frequency, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number of students that fell in the category and divide by the total number of students. By the way, if I add these up going down, right, it should equal the number of students there. So divide by that total number of students, and that gives me a proportion. A proportion is a value between 0 and 1. It's a fractional value. That's the proportion of students that fell in that category. Now, if I multiply that by 100, it changes to a percentage. So that would be 88% for the top category. Now, the next one, I would do 2 divided by 25 times 100. That would be 8%. And then, of course, 1 divided by 25 times 100. Now, again, if I add going down, this should total 100%. But now with a frequency table, it might not be exact to 100%. Why? Let's say instead of something nice like 25, this were 33 students in the course. Well, 22 divided by 33 is the number I'm going to have to round. And so because I've rounded, when I add, it may not add up exactly to 100%. But it should be close, either a little bit over or a little bit under 100%. So the frequency table gives us a very quick way to look at a summary of our data. But maybe we want to visualize it. A pie chart is one way that we could do that. We use slices of the circle to depict how much of the pie is being taken up in each category. And of course, we want a title up at the top, which I don't have here, and a legend that tells us which, or we might put the values in. Let's look at our example. So we had posted with a photo was 22, posted without a photo was 2, and did not post was 1. Now let's go to the percentages on those. The one person that failed to post represented 4% of the class. So a circle has 360 degrees. The degrees, if you remember, are the angular measures to the circle. So if I do 360 times 0.04, the 4%, that tells me how many degrees of my circle are being taken up by that category. And let's see, 36 times 4 should be about 14 point something, 14.4-ish, I think. So let's draw something that is about 14 degrees. So we'd actually get out our protractor to do that. So this would be our 4%, and it's the did not post category. Now the next one, the next category, was the people that did post but without a photo, and that represented 8%. So if I do 360 degrees times 0.08, oh, that's going to give me 28 point something degrees. So less than a third. So maybe about here-ish will represent that. It should be double this amount that's here, 8%. And this is going to be posted without photo. And then the remaining percent should be 360 times 0.88, and that's going to be the degrees represented here. The degrees is that circular representation of the angle measure. And so this is going to be the 88% that posted with a photo. And again, we title it Results of Initial Post in STA. So we've got a title, we've got the legend that describes what each category is, and the number in each category in a percentage. I could have done a flat count and put the numbers here, 22, 2, and 1 instead. But then I need to notate somewhere that my N was for 25 students so that it was clear. We use a circular chart, a pie chart, whenever we are breaking up parts of a whole. So if I have, the entire class divided into categories, I'm breaking up parts of a whole, and each person falls into one category or another. If instead of doing something like that, I broke you guys up by something that could overlap in categories. I don't know, maybe hair color or something like that, right? We have some people that have highlights, so they're in both the brown and the blondish category. If I can overlap those categories, then I cannot use a pie chart because I'm not dividing the class up into separate pieces. I have to be able to put them in distinct pieces to use a pie chart. A bar chart is another way to represent people in each category. So we put the classes down here. We put the frequency count up here, or the percentage, and then the title up at the top. So for our class example, I might do, again, the title, something like Results of Initial Post in STA 2023. And I'm going to say posted with photo as my first category, posted without photo, and did not post. These are categories for a bar chart. Over here, we put either the frequency or the relative frequency. I'll again do the relative frequency. So because I'm doing percentages, I want to go all the way up to 100. So maybe I'm going to go 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. So 88 would be right about there. So I draw a line there and down to represent the items in that category. Posted without photos was, I think, 8%. So if that's 10, it's going to be like here. And then 4% here. So here I have a bar chart. Notice that there's space between each bar. Whenever we're doing categorical variables, we're doing a bar chart, I'm going to have space between the bars.